Welcome everybody to Sports Stuff Hub episode 48. Sports Stuff Hub live on this Tuesday, September 21st. And things are flying in 2021. We are now 2 weeks into the NFL season. And sorry for those of you that were hoping for a show last week. I was down in Vegas for the Industry Summit brought to you by Beckett. Sorry, I had to wet my whistle there in the intro. And so last week we missed both Sports Stuff Hub Live and Break Night due to the Industry Summit down in Vegas. It was a lot of fun, had a blast, got to meet a lot of people, got to talk to a lot of new people, as well as see some familiar faces, and reconnect with a few people that I haven't gotten to talk to and lost touch with over the last few years, including two gentlemen who run MVB Breaks, Davey Hughes and Cordell Mendelson. Was great getting to see those guys. Those guys, we go back to my old days of breaking, and they used to be fairly heavy on Twitter. And after I stepped away from breaking in 2018, they started their own break company, or at least took it a little bit bigger, and now they have a Facebook group of 3,000 people, I think Davey was telling me. And so I got to hang out with those guys over the course of a few days in Vegas and had a lot of fun with them, getting to reconnect with them. They're some really good guys. So if you're looking for a Facebook group to join, MVB Breaks, Most Valuable Breaks. Davey Hughes, Cordell Mendelson. Great guys to hang out with. It was a lot of fun, like I said, getting to reconnect with them. Also got to see Mike Sommers, Wax Pack Hero, as well as Ivan at Watch the Breaks, and a number of other people from eBay and Fanatics, from Panini. Just so many people. Got to meet some of the guys from RBI Crew. Got to golf with one of them and hang out with the other one that wasn't golfing. And then also David from Panini, who I guess heads up the basketball division for Panini. So it was a lot of fun. It was a blast. I'm looking forward to the summit next year, now that I know what I'm getting into. Some of the breakout sessions, I was a little quiet. I didn't really ask too many questions because I was more feeling it out to just kind of see what's going on. But now that I've got some experience, I'm looking forward to going back next year as a veteran and being a little more involved. Ahead on the show tonight, we have Marc Magaña joining me to talk a little Bucs chat. We're going to recap the Bucs season so far, and Marc's going to give us a little inside look into what we can expect to see from the Bucs and breaking down the Bucs' Week 2 victory over the Atlanta Falcons, as well as potentially probably even talking about the season opener win against the Dallas Cowboys. We have a lot to talk about tonight, though, and we got a little bit of a late start because of putzing around with the live stream. Marc and I had to run a dry run, and we couldn't get sound and video to work for a little while. But I think we got it worked out, though. Yeah, electronics technology in general is fun to deal with. I am looking into some other software as well. One thing that was really big for being at the Industry Summit was networking. That's kind of the point of it, business-to-business networking. And overhearing a lot of breakers talking about the different software that they use for streaming, and I'm of the firm belief now that I'm either way ahead of the game or way behind everybody, and I'm thinking it's the latter because it didn't sound like anybody's using XSplit. And I have a feeling that's why I've been having the issues I've been having, is because people have gone away from XSplit. So most likely over the next couple weeks, I will be looking at and investing in a different software platform for streaming, both Sports Stuff Hub Live and Group Break Night. And so we will be getting into some new software, which potentially will be giving me some better graphics and a better display for the show. Speaking about some different stuff, we have Break Night coming up tomorrow night, and we have a jam-packed night. If you have not gotten your spots in Break Night for tomorrow night, what are you waiting for? This product lineup is massive. We have 2 single box breaks of Optic basketball, random teams. That one's going to be huge. Optic is bound to be bangers. We have a random team 3-box break of Bowman Chrome Hobby Baseball. And if that fills, I've got more boxes. I can run some more breaks as well. I might even do some personals. We also have a couple of football breaks because there's no way in hell I could go without running football breaks for a week. So I did a 2-box random team of 2019 Panini Rookies and Stars football. Boom! Chasing down Kyler Murray rookies. The potential MVP of this year, who sure looks like he's the number 1 leading candidate after 2 weeks in the NFL. The guy looks phenomenal. So, 2-box random team Panini Rookies and Stars hobby, and I believe it's 2 autos and 2 memorabilia cards per box. So we're talking 4 and 4 now at that point, plus all the parallels that come with it. And then what would group break night be without a PYT football break? We're revisiting 2021 certified football 2 hobby box plus a TriStar autograph mini helmet, but not just any TriStar mini helmet. These are the Platinum editions, which actually has a Tampa Bay Bucks Tom Brady chase. Potential Tom Brady Bucks mini helmet. Hell yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. That PYT is up on the board right now. Quite a few teams left in there as well. So we've got 5 breaks lined up for tomorrow night. It's going to be massive. It is going to be 100% massive. I don't know if we're going to be able to get through everything. Yes, we can. It's not a problem. You guys need to go get your spots, though. And then, like I said, I can always add more. We're also going to be doing the Funko Pop sales. I'm going to be doing about 25 Funko Pops that I'll be displaying throughout the night. That'll be for sale as well. Trying to think of what else we've got going on in the world of sports cards. We have a lot of releases coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to get into those right now, but we have sports card shows, collectibles shows coming up. We have the Twin Oaks Cards and Collectibles show this weekend in Everett at the Everett Mall on Saturday and Sunday. The following week, we have the Auburn Twin Oaks show. This past weekend was the Washington State Sports Cards Association, I think it's called, the big state show at the Linwood Convention Center, and in my opinion, it was a bit of a letdown. The guy running it was talking about how he was going to have 100-plus tables and vendors from all over, and it turned out to be about 60 tables, and when I was there, it was not quite as well attended as I would have expected, especially for charging what he was charging per table, plus a $5 covered fee to get in the door. I talked to a couple vendors while I was there who said they had a fairly decent show, but to be all honest, the Twin Oaks Card Show blows the doors off of that, and I'm not apologizing for saying that. I am actually really glad that I didn't set up at that show because, in my opinion, it would have been kind of throwing away $150 to set up one table for one day when I get better traction at the Twin Oaks show for a third of the price per day, per table. And I do 2 tables, 2 days. So I'll take that. So anyway, Twin Oaks Cards and Collectibles show in Everett at the Everett Mall this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. What else we got going on? I have added a bunch of single cards to the website in the card shop, so go check that out. If you guys are looking for anything in particular, it may be in there now, so go ahead and go shop. I've added a bunch of football. I'm adding a bunch more. 3 straight weekends of card shows coming up, so I definitely will be adding a lot of cards to the website over the next 3 weeks. Specifically this week in general, just because I got to get ready for, now we're in the NFL season, first card show of the NFL season. So that's going to be ready to go for this weekend. And then when I sell some stuff, obviously I'll be pumping more stuff into the boxes for next week, which is going to put more stuff onto the website. So make sure you guys are checking it out, because if you go shop on the website, you get first dibs over the people who are coming to the card show. Now, the people at the card show have the advantage of being able to see the cards in person, but you can go snag those deals on the website ahead of time. All right, into the world of the NFL. We have a lot to talk about. And I have to wrap this part of it up really quick. I might break it down into 2 different parts because I've got Marc Magaña coming on in about 20 minutes. So we're going to try to fly through this. If I can get my screen over. Come on. There we go. Here we go. Week 2 of the NFL. And hang on one second. I got to get my other screen up. Oops. That's not supposed to be there. There we go. Results. We have the Washington football team over the New York Giants. 30-29 on Thursday Night Football. This is, again, week 2. This is not week 1. This is week 2. So this is our week 2 recap to start with. Make sure I get everything out of the way here so you guys can see properly. Then we have the New England Patriots over the New York Jets, 25-26. Now these are the Sunday games. Denver over Jacksonville, 23-13. Buffalo over Miami, 35-0. Buffalo just routed Miami, and it didn't help that Tua went down, and they were relying on Jacoby. San Francisco barely squeaked by over Philly. This was a very tough defensive game, in a game also where Jimmy Garoppolo was not the most accurate passer. LA Rams over the Indianapolis Colts. This actually turned out to be a pretty close game, and both teams were having issues. And Carson Wentz went down with an ankle injury in the fourth quarter and did not come back. And it turned out that it was both ankles. We're going to get into some injuries here in a little while. Las Vegas Raiders over Pittsburgh, 26-17 in Pittsburgh. The Chicago Bears over Cincinnati, 20-17 in a game where Joe Burrow threw, in a matter of 30 actual minutes, threw 3 interceptions. Cleveland over Houston, 31-21 in a game that Cleveland could have actually very easily lost when Baker Mayfield went down. But Houston was actually staying right in it up until an injury to Tyrod Taylor, which again we'll get to in a minute. Carolina over New Orleans, 26-7. Carolina just steamrolled New Orleans. And potentially because Jameis Winston got exposed, but we'll have to wait and see. Carolina's used to playing Jameis, so maybe they knew exactly what to do. Arizona squeaked by Minnesota 34-33. Tampa Bay over Atlanta 48-25. Tennessee goes into Seattle in overtime and wins 33-30 on the back of Derrick Henry and his 180-something yards. Dallas over the LA Chargers wrapped out the last of the Sunday afternoon games 20-17. Then the Sunday night game was Baltimore squeaking by Kansas City in a very good primetime game. That if you didn't watch that game, shame on you. You should be disappointed with yourself. You missed an incredible game. And then Green Bay over Detroit, 35-17 on Monday Night Football. That was last night, and it started off as a very competitive game. And then as the rain came, Detroit just got walked. So, getting into the nuts and bolts of it. Notable injuries from this weekend. Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Miami, ended up with a rib injury that kept him out, and he is considered day-to-day. Carson Wentz, quarterback from Indianapolis, hurt both of his ankles, and he is also considered day-to-day. T.J. Watt, edge rusher out of Pittsburgh, had a groin injury, and it looks like he's on track to play this weekend. Andy Dalton, quarterback for Chicago, knee injury, and no telling how long he's going to be out. It looks like Justin Fields is potentially going to get the start, but Matt Nagy was very clear in saying when Andy Dalton returns from injury, it is his starting job. Tyrod Taylor, quarterback for Houston, out with a hamstring injury. He got placed on IR today, so he's going to be out at least 3 weeks. Jarvis Landry, wide receiver from Cleveland, with a knee injury. He got put on IR. He's out 3 weeks. Brandon Graham, defensive end, out of Philly, with an ankle injury. Bradley Chubb and Josie Joel, defensive end and linebacker out of Denver, ankle and shoulder injuries. Denver's already getting beat up on the defensive side of the ball. Tyson Alualu, nose tackle for Pittsburgh, also with an ankle injury, and he had surgery yesterday, so it looks like he's going to probably miss a few weeks. Darrell Henderson, running back for the Rams, as the Rams are already starting to get hit by the injury bug in the running back position. He had a rib injury. Taylor Lewan, offensive tackle for Tennessee, got hurt in pregame when he messed his knee up. And then literally every San Francisco running back ended up hurt in this game. Trey Sermon, concussion. Elijah Mitchell, shoulder. JaMycal Hasty, ankle. All three of them did not finish the game. So it looks like Sermon probably will not clear concussion protocol. Elijah Mitchell looks like he should be good to go for this weekend. And JaMycal Hasty might miss a game with an ankle injury. And San Francisco went buku overdrive signing some running backs the last 24 hours. Moving over to the NFC standings. This is after 2 weeks in the NFL. NFC West is looking like Cardinals 2-0, Rams 2-0, Niners 2-0, and the Seahawks are sitting in last place at 1-1. Now, don't freak out over the records right now, because quite honestly, we're 2 games into the season, and all it takes right now is 1 week for a lot of this stuff to change. NFC South, Panthers are 2-0, with the Bucs also at 2-0. Saints at 1-1, and the Falcons are still looking for their first win. NFC North, Packers at 1-1, the Bears at 1-1 as well. Vikings and Lions both winless at 0-2. And the NFC East, the Washington football team at 1-1, tied with the Cowboys, and the Eagles also at 1-1, with the Giants still scratching around looking for their first win. Hopping over to the AFC. AFC South, the Texans and the Titans are both leading the division at 1-1, with the Colts and the Jaguars both looking to get their first win. The AFC East, the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots all sit at 1-1. No undefeated teams in that division at all. Jets are sitting at 0-2. The AFC North is a 4-way tie, all at 1-1. Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals, all 1-1. Ravens lost week 1, and then they beat the Chiefs in week 2. Steelers beat the Bills in week 1, lost to the Raiders in week 2. The Browns lost to the Chiefs in week 1, beat the Texans this past weekend. And then the Bengals lost this weekend to Chicago. And then the final division with the only undefeated teams left in the AFC West. The Raiders sitting at 2-0, the Broncos at 2-0, Chiefs 1-1, and the Chargers at 1-1. So looking right now like the only 2 divisions in the AFC without a loss, without a winless team, are the North and the West, with the 2 undefeated teams left in the AFC as the Raiders and the Broncos. Let's take a look at some fantasy football stars, because we all love fantasy football. So let's take a look at our Week 2 fantasy football stars. Starting off with the quarterback position. Get a load of this. The quarterback position in Week 2 was actually pretty loaded. Kyler Murray led the league in fantasy points with 45 points. Tom Brady at a close number 2 with 39. 3, 4, and 5 all right there as well. Lamar Jackson with 37, Russell Wilson with 36, and Patrick Mahomes at 35. A 10-point spread between first and fifth. And if you went and looked at the rest of the stats, the next 5 quarterbacks aren't far behind Patrick Mahomes. So the quarterback position is actually sitting fairly close. Moving over to the running back position, Derrick Henry went absolutely nuclear in the second half against Seattle, totaling 53 points. He went off. Aaron Jones last night tallying 40 points as he had a solid game, scoring 4 touchdowns as well. Now, Jones didn't have the production on the ground that Derrick Henry did, but Derrick Henry put up the yardage, man. The yardage. Over to the wide receivers, Cooper Kupp goes off for 39 fantasy points for the Rams, and Tyler Lockett right behind him with 37 fantasy points. Moving over to tight end, Travis Kelce puts up 27 points in Week 2 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now let's take a look at our overall fantasy season position leaders. Number 1 overall, no shock here, Kyler Murray leads all quarterbacks with 86 total points, sitting just 7 points ahead of Patrick Mahomes at 79. Derrick Henry for the running back position after a really bad Week 1, really embarrassing game. He puts up a massive Week 2 and ends up leading now in the running back category with 62 total points, which puts him 12 points ahead of the number 2, Christian McCaffrey, who's sitting at number 2 with 50 points. At wide receiver, we've got a close race. Tyler Lockett, wide receiver out of Seattle, with 69 total points between his 2 weeks. Cooper Kupp, but right on his heels, 1 point down, 68 points. Kupp and Lockett both from the NFC West. Over to the tight end position, we've got Travis Kelce leading all tight ends with 52 fantasy points. Right on his heels is Rob Gronkowski, the Gronkenstein, with 48 points. Just 4 points behind Travis Kelce. This goes to show you just how close some of these matchups are going to be throughout the season. Over to defense, Carolina shockingly sitting at number 1 in fantasy football points from the defense perspective with 28 total points. They have been the best defense between the first 2 weeks of the season. Coming in right behind them, though, at 26 points is the Patriots. Another one that people I don't believe were expecting to be quite this good. And the Patriots 2 points down from the lead. And our last position we're going to cover for tonight, Daniel Carlson, kicker, with 28 total points on the season. And right behind him, just 2 points down, same thing, just like the defense, Nick Folk for the Patriots with 26 points. Just 2 points behind Daniel Carlson. Let's take a look at our Week 3 matchups we've got coming up this coming week. Carolina at Houston on Thursday Night Football. Now, again, this is going to be the Davis Mills show as Tyrod Taylor is out this week. We're going to see the Sam Darnold-led Carolina Panthers head to Houston on a short week facing rookie Davis Mills. Indiana travels to Tennessee with or without Carson Wentz. We don't know yet. Derrick Henry looks like he's going to be primed to run all over Indy's defense. Atlanta travels to the Giants. No significant injuries that I see there. The LA Chargers are traveling to Kansas City. Now, after Kansas City lost to Baltimore, we could be looking for a retribution game here from Patrick Mahomes, and he could go nuclear on the Chargers. Remember, last season, when Justin Herbert took over for an injured Tyrod Taylor who got punctured in the lung by his own medical staff, Justin Herbert actually had a really good game against Kansas City. Almost beat Kansas City as a rookie that wasn't supposed to start that game. Then we go over to the divisional game between Cincinnati traveling to Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh just dropped a deuce against the Las Vegas Raiders this last weekend, losing by 10 points to a team they shouldn't have lost to at home. So we'll see if Pittsburgh can rebound and maybe see if they can pick off Joe Burrow for another 3 times and embarrass him a little bit and make up for last weekend. Chicago travels to Cleveland in a game that it looks like we're going to probably see Justin Fields get his first official start of his NFL career. Baltimore travels to Detroit. This should be a complete whitewashing by Baltimore. I can't really expect Detroit to come in and play too great against a very good Baltimore team. New Orleans travels to New England, where we could see one of the best defenses playing in the NFL right now take on Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, Mr. Bipolar from the past 2 weeks, could throw 5 touchdowns, could throw 0. Who freaking knows? I know he has... Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm going to save that one for when Mark gets on here. Arizona travels to Jacksonville, where we're going to see the potential MVP of the league, Kyler Murray, lay a complete beat down on Jacksonville, and Arizona's defense is probably going to make Trevor Lawrence's day really bad. Washington football team travels to Buffalo, and I honestly don't know what to expect from the Washington football team under Taylor Heineke. But I know what we're going to see from Buffalo. We're going to see a lot of air attack and a combination of running backs that are going to hit them hard. New York Jets at Denver. Yeah, Zach Wilson, 4 interceptions this last weekend. And Denver beat Jacksonville so bad that the Jacksonville social media team put out an apology to their fans this last Monday. So if you thought that that Jacksonville got a beat down late on them, just wait until Denver takes on the Jets. I think this is going to be ugly. Miami travels to Las Vegas, and it looks like we're probably going to not see Tua. I don't expect him with bruised ribs to play against Las Vegas. So I would expect Derek Carr and the receiving core from Las Vegas to feast, and the defense just absolutely obliterate Miami with Tua not under center. Seattle travels to Minnesota. Seattle loses a heartbreaker on their home turf in overtime to Tennessee last weekend. And I can see them walking into Minnesota with a chip on their shoulder and absolutely crushing Minnesota. But, hey, Minnesota has been another bipolar team. One weekend they show up, one weekend they don't. So we'll see after the third weekend when it rolls around what kind of Minnesota team we're dealing with here. Tampa Bay travels to the LA Rams in one of the better matchups of the weekend. An undefeated Tampa Bay team versus an undefeated Rams team, and we're going to get into that with Marc Magaña here shortly. We have Sunday Night Football, Green Bay at San Francisco, another fantastic game. 1-1 Packers team versus a 2-0 San Fran team. Green Bay could hand San Fran their first loss. We could see Trey Lance get his first real game action outside of a couple of snaps. Jimmy Garoppolo could go nuclear. There's a lot of storylines that could happen in this game. Monday Night Football is Philadelphia at Dallas. And a potentially revived Philadelphia offense behind Jalen Hurts and a potentially revived Dallas Cowboys offense behind Dak Prescott. But that's neither here nor there. We've got time for this season to pan out and watch Ezekiel Elliott not run the ball. So that is our week 3 games in the NFL. What a week we have ahead of us. I'm digging this week. I think this week is going to be fantastic. And if you're not watching the primetime games so far, you should be ashamed of yourselves, because the primetime games so far this year have been electric. I mean electric. The Tampa-Dallas game was way closer than it should have been, than any of us expected it to be. And the game last night was, well, the first half was good. Then it started raining, and we all found out just how small Jared Goff's hands are, because he can't grip a football when it's wet. Hey. Kansas City, Baltimore. That game was fantastic. Baltimore has put up 2 really good primetime games in a row. Las Vegas, Baltimore in week 1 was a great game. Now, I will say that the Vegas-Baltimore game was also pretty good because I was in Vegas for it, watching it in the hotel, in the conference room, and there was a bunch of Vegas fans around. So it was electric, but it was a lot of fun. Baltimore has been a part of 2 really good games. Now they're 1-1, but the next primetime game they have, I'm expecting it to be another really good game. All right, so we have, let me get my screen popped back over here so that I can actually make sure that I've got him on here. I have a special treat for you guys. Oh, hang on, I gotta change this tab down real quick. 1 second, guys. Hey, Abel, how you doing tonight, buddy? Did I lose Mark? Nope, there he is. Perfect. All right. I got to have a screen up so that I can type if I need to. All right, guys. Hope you guys are ready for this. We are going to have some fun talking tonight. This man is one of the biggest Buck fans I know. He has written for the Bucks Wire, I believe it's called. I believe an ESPN affiliate, if I recall correctly. There was one ESPN affiliate that you wrote for or were part of a podcast. He was also a co-host of the Droppin' Dimes podcast. He is a regular in Africa, celebrity in Africa. Okay? I have a celebrity on my show, just so you guys know. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Marc Magaña.
Man, your introductions, Ryan, I tell you what, man, the introductions make you feel special, feel warm inside, bro.
Hey, if I can make one person in the world feel warm and fuzzy, I'm glad it's you.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. It's always fun to get on and talk football and sports with you in general. I know sometimes we even cross over into other sports too. So it's appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. So, it's football season now, Mark. This is the first time you've actually gotten to be on the show during football season.
Football season, yeah.
I'm kind of excited for this.
Yeah, so, definitely, man, definitely.
Now, before we get going here real quick, I just want to do a sound check with everybody and make sure that we're good. If anybody's listening right now, can everybody hear me and can everybody hear Mark? Because sometimes when I switch over to the screen, the settings kind of get all screwed up. And I want to make sure that everybody can hear Mark before Mark gets into the meat and potatoes of what he has to say tonight, because we all need to pay attention to Mark. So, Abel, I saw you're talking. Can you hear me and can you hear Mark on the sound as well? Just want to verify.
1, 2.
Sound is good. All right, Mark, we've got to go ahead.
Sweet.
All right, thank you, Abel. All right, Mark. Let's just get down to the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Bucks are looking stupid good.
Yeah.
Tom Brady has thrown 8 touchdowns in 2 games and is frustrating the crap out of teams. And the guy's 44 freaking years old.
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be happening. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The laws of ageism, and I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but we're going to call it that tonight. He's not supposed to be competing with guys half his age.
No.
He was drafted. He was drafted into the NFL before some of these guys were born.
Yeah. He's been doing it a while, right?
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whatever they're putting in the water in TB12's house, he needs to share.
It's that warmth, that sunshine in Florida. That's what they're keeping the old bones nice and greased up, I guess.
Well, yeah, that northeaster. I mean, I guarantee his bones were aching, his joints were aching.
Oh man!
Halfway through the season, 3/4.
Oh, for sure.
Playoff time. Yeah. Playoff time had to be just.
And then they always played at home, right? I mean, so they always got in the.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, let's break it down this past weekend. We get to see Tom Brady revisit a team that he came back and beat when he was down 28-3, going into the fourth quarter, the Atlanta Falcons. What did you see in this game that essentially took Atlanta out of it completely?
Yeah, it was weird, and I saw, not that Nick Wright is the best commentator out there, but I saw him talking about it, and it was a strange thing because Atlanta was in the game most of the game. They really were doing pretty well. The first half they were competing, going back and forth, and then it just completely imploded. And it was a little strange. And Nick, like I said, Nick Wright was saying, he's like, for some reason when teams play Tom Brady, they just something happens. Like, I don't know if it's the Falcons or just teams in general, but they were doing fine. Obviously Tampa's offense is tough to stop. That's just, the facts. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Gronkowski, and Chris Godwin is unfair, as a receiving core. So that, I don't know if teams can really hope to necessarily stop the offense. They can slow it down. But with as many options as there are for Tom, that's not the goal when you play the Bucs. It's, you can try to slow them down, but that's it. It's really trying to keep up with them. And that's been something that I've noticed through the first 2 weeks of the season with the Bucs that struggled a little bit. 29 points to Dallas. Dallas got a good offense. And then, the game here against Atlanta, teams are scoring against the Bucs defense, which is not something, they held the best offense in the NFL to 9 points in the Super Bowl, right? So, offensively, clicking on all cylinders, and I think it should continue. And then defensively, there's a lot of room for improvement. But Sunday, for some reason, they just imploded, and the 2 pick sixes there in the fourth really made the scoreline a lot more dramatic in terms of, a 48-point win. It makes it a lot more with those 2 pick sixes. So, but it was a little bit of a closer game than the scoreline, I think, indicates for most of the game.
Yeah, just watching, and I was flicking in and out of it because, to be quite honest, I wasn't exactly focused on that game.
No, yeah. Why would you be? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of was because I got Gronk and I have Tampa Bay's defense, and
right.
So seeing Gronk have a resurgence in his career, and I called that by the way. And
you did.
I did 4 touchdowns already this season.
I remember when you were talking about it. Yeah, I remember when you were talking about it before the fantasy draft, and you were right. I don't know why. Yeah, he got way late drafted in fantasy draft.
I'm glad.
You're right. He's TD magnet.
I'm glad I was right, and I'm glad you don't know why. And that's what I'm going to take from that whole thing you just said.
Yeah.
and I've never been a big Gronk fan, but there was so much looking at it where I'm just like, Brady has so many weapons at his disposal, but then he's got his security blanket, Gronk.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Gronk is going to put up, quite, every game in and out where he's going to get 10 receptions like he used to, but he's going to get more quality targets. And you're already seeing that he's getting these end zone targets, especially Brady has had to move a little bit because the line has had a few times. Now, they're still a very good offensive line. They're still probably top 10 in the NFL, but Brady has had to move around in the pocket a little bit more, and he has had to scramble out a few times. Like the one pass to Gronk where he had made the diving catch, he was getting flushed out of the pocket, and Brady's not typically having to do that all that often. And so I see Brady relying on 87 Gronk quite a bit this year.
Yeah.
Just with everything that's going on now. Throughout the season, is he going to get more comfortable again throwing to Godwin and Evans and AB? Sure, absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind. Is Gronk going to get 2 touchdowns every game? I would love to see it, but I don't believe that's going to happen. But to be quite honest, I just see Gronk having a fantastic season, a renaissance, so to speak. We'll call it a frenaissance with
I love it,
with TB12, and I could see him putting up a dozen touchdowns throughout the season. And again, I don't think he's going to see 100 receptions. And I don't think he's going to see 1,000 yards. I think we're past the days of 1,000-yard, 100-reception seasons out of Gronk. But I think we're realistically in, the territory of 65 receptions and 700 yards and a dozen touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think that's unreasonable for Gronk, especially. And the crazy thing is, there's so many, and everybody talks about it when they talk about the Bucs. There's so many mouths to feed. But even with Gronk having those TD receptions in the first 2 games, Mike had 2. On Sunday against the Falcons. Antonio Brown against the Cowboys had 1 and 100 yard, 80 yards, something like that. So I mean, everybody's still, the only guy that we haven't seen have a really good game is Chris Godwin, and Godwin has still gotten his. So it's just a product of that offense being as good as it is. And what's crazy too is behind Gronk, there's 2 pretty talented tight ends. OJ Howard is an athletic freak, and although he struggled with injuries, that's a guy you want to get on the field and try to throw him the ball, right? And then Cam Brate as well. I mean, people don't talk about Cam Brate, but Cam Brate had some fantastic years with Jameis Winston, and he's not much of a blocker, but the guy can catch the ball, so, and I think Cam Brate on another team is, starting a team with a weak tight end. He can start on another team. He's excellent at his job. So, it is crazy to think how many mouths there is to feed in the Tampa Bay offense. But like you said, with that friendship that Gronk and Tom have, I don't feel like 700 yards, 12 touchdowns is crazy. Maybe the yardage. I don't know if he can hit 700 yards, but still, I mean, if he picks up 10 touchdowns, 500 yards, from a perspective, you're stoked, right? I mean, that's a great season for him.
Absolutely. Now, did you watch the Manning cast last night of the football game?
Man, I did not, man. I was at work and I had it on the TVs at work, but I couldn't hear, what they were doing. But I've heard rave reviews about it. Everybody seems to be stoked about what they were doing.
It's a lot of fun, and for being, breaking it down, analytics, just talking about the coverages and the play calling, all this kind of stuff, because we're talking about two guys who had long careers. One of them, one of the best to ever do it. I think that type of broadcast would be right up your alley too. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
I'm sure I would like it.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys where half the time I'm shutting off the announcers if I'm watching a regular broadcast anyways. So
me too.
And so listening to them talk instead was awesome. Then they brought on the guests, and they happened to bring on Gronk.
I know Gronk went on,
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught any of the sound bites or any of the quotes that he had, but he got asked about watching film, and he blatantly admitted, I don't watch film.
All right, Gronk. That's what I like.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't watch film. I rely on Tom to tell me where to go and who's covering me. I'm just like, good Lord.
Oh Lord, yeah. I mean, and I think that, to a certain extent, and that's what the Bucs were hoping when they got OJ. To a certain extent, at that position, when you're that big, that strong, that fast, it's kind of a cheat code. I mean, there's really not. You put a linebacker, he's too slow. You put a safety, he's too small. So what? That's it. You know what I mean? It's a matchup nightmare, and that's what they were hoping with OJ. But Gronk has mastered how to play his role effectively of matchup nightmare, and that's probably why he doesn't have to watch film. He's just like, hey, I'm going to either be bigger or I'm going to be faster. Maybe not faster nowadays, but you know what I mean?
And when Brady looks up and he sees who's lined up across from Gronk, he knows exactly what he's getting. Am I going to Gronk here or not because it's a mismatch? If it's a mismatch, I'm going right at him. If it's somebody that can actually cover him, I'm not going to touch it. Why bother?
I don't even and he doesn't even have to, right? Because if the right guy, quote unquote, is guarding Gronk, that means there's probably the wrong guy on Chris or the wrong guy on AB in the slot, right? So the wrong guy is somewhere. He just has to find it, which is why, because it seems like when they make these throws, like the windows that Brady's throwing into, like some of them are tough windows, but none of them are like, oh man, that was close, right? Like I feel like the receivers are open most of the time, you know what I mean? And it's because of exploiting that mismatch and just Brady's, knowledge of the game and watching who's lining up across from who. He knows what he's seeing, kind of thing. So yeah, you're right.
Yep. What have you seen now? We briefly talked so far about the defense issues that Tampa Bay's had. What are you seeing are the main focal points that they need to work on right now, and where are those areas that they may need to upgrade?
Yeah, it's right now. It's a mixture of inexperience and youth in the secondary and injuries. Sean Murphy-Bunting goes down against Dallas. He's looking like he's going to be out for a while. They reached out to Richard Sherman. Obviously they're looking for help at the cornerback position. Those guys are young. The pass rush is doing a really good job. Vita Vea is an absolute monster, which, if you don't watch Bucs games and you look at just the stat sheet, you're like, Vita who, right? Like you have no idea. But if you go and actually watch some of the cut-ups, this man just pushes people. Like he'll grab a 300-pound center and drive him into the quarterback. And there's no stat for that, right? But I mean, it completely changes the pocket, So Vita's a monster. Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, everybody's still doing their job up front. Levante and Devin are insane as middle linebackers there. But yeah, it's just the secondary. And I think you can see that in the point totals that are getting put up on them. 29 points by Dallas, and then 25 by Atlanta. That's a lot of points for, like I said, held the Chiefs to 9 points in the Super Bowl, right? So they'll get better, but right now it's a little bit of youth and experience, maybe some, I don't know, and then injuries, of course, playing a part as well. So they'll get better as the season goes on, and if you are rooting for Tampa to fail, that's the scary part is, at their worst, which is right now, they're still winning ball games. pretty significantly. And you pointed out the Dallas game was closer than it should have been. But Dallas is I don't think Dallas is a slouch. I think they have a good wide receiver core. And if you watch that game, which I'm sure you did, Dak made some incredible throws under pressure. He was getting hit all night long, and he was putting the ball in the only spot that it could be. And he blew me away. That game, I was super impressed. I was tweeting about it, but I was super impressed with Dak that first game of the season. So, but yeah, overall, I think the defense will get better. And that's like I said, that's a little scary if you're rooting for Tampa to fail.
Going back to the Vita points you brought up, one thing that I've actually kind of compared Vita to non-stat wise is his control of the opposing offensive line, much like Donald in L.A. and also like Cam Hayward in Pittsburgh, where they're not always yes, Donald gets the stats as well. Vita is that guy that can control that line and push guys around, but then he's not the guy getting the sacks. He's pushing them over to Sue or pushing them over to Barrett or one of the other guys on the edge, whereas Donald is just, a physical force monster. And again, Cam Hayward, I put Cam Hayward in that same type of
category,
dominant category like that. Not always necessarily getting the stats, but the stuff that you don't see on paper is what Vita Vea is doing, what Cam Hayward is doing. Yeah. And even this last weekend, watching Donald against Indy, Donald didn't get a ton of stats in that game, but he disrupted a lot.
Completely disruptive in the game, and that's the thing. But against Dallas, the leading rusher for the Dallas Cowboys, Zeke, had 11 carries for 33 yards. You know what I mean? And then you go to this Falcons game, 38 yards, 11 carries, I think for Davis it was. So, and that's something that the Bucs did well last year, and then again they're carrying it over this year. The running game against the Bucs is just not, you can't run the ball against the Bucs and teams and that was why I think Dallas performed so well. And I think that's kind of something teams will look to exploit as the season goes on. What Dallas didn't do is they didn't try to establish the run. They didn't say, hey, we're gonna put Zeke and we're gonna up the gut and we're gonna build into the play. They just said, no, we don't got to worry about that. Dak, you're gonna go and you're gonna throw all night long. And that's what kept them in the game against us, is they threw all night long. Teams that try to establish the run, like that old school mentality of, hey, we got to come out, we got to establish the run because then it opens the play action. Teams that try to do that against the Bucs typically fail. So I think the teams that you're going to see that are going to compete with the Bucs are the teams that are saying, like, I don't even care about the run. We might rush it 9 times this game, but we're going to throw and we're going to keep up that way. And that's why you see those teams, which is what Atlanta was doing in the first half. And then in the second half, they kind of got away from that. And that's when you saw, but going back to your point about Vita Vea, he's the reason why that line of scrimmage is controlled and the rushing attack on opposing offenses is nothing, because he controls that line of scrimmage and just dominates it. Like, Hayward's, I think, a great example of that too. Just when you have a guy like that can completely change rushing lanes, it's impossible. You know what I mean? So I think that's what the Bucs do really well. But I think there is room there to beat them, and we'll see. Going forward, it'll be interesting to see. We can look back at this conversation in a couple weeks if the Bucs have their first loss to see what it was. Did the quarterback throw 48 times? Because I think that's what it's going to take. Because there's you can exploit the secondary, but you can't run the ball against the Bucs.
See, and I would have loved to have seen the NFC South versus the AFC South this year, and see this defense try to play against Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That would have been been like an immovable object meeting an unstoppable force.
Right?
and I would have loved to have seen that, because Tennessee's game plan is pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, and then in the third quarter pound the rock, pound the rock, pound the rock, and then by fourth quarter everybody's so banged up and they're like, God, Derrick Henry's still running.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And there's not a whole lot of teams that can use that effect. I mean, probably Tennessee, and then maybe the Ravens. The Ravens run the ball a lot. It's a different style though to what Tennessee does.
Yeah, the Ravens running is not pounding the rock. That was what Mark Ingram used to be good at doing.
Yeah,
but they're now more finesse, end arounds, play action, bootlegs, that kind of stuff.
Right, the rollouts. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many teams nowadays that are hit the hole, up the gut. Punish the defensive line, make the linebackers.
Old school Bucks, all stout up the gut.
Yeah,
all stout up Jerome the gut was Bettis. The famous call. Yeah, exactly.
Jerome Bettis, Bam Morris, those guys, those old school guys, up the gut and make the defensive line not want to stick their arms out, and then make linebackers think twice about getting a 5-yard bead on hitting you, because I look at one of the most fun and most brutal hits that I saw of last year was when Tennessee and Pittsburgh played, and Devin Bush got hurt, and Bobby Spokane, Robert Spillane, was filling in for Devin Bush at middle linebacker, and he met Derrick Henry on the line of scrimmage.
I remember that play, yeah.
And Spillane had to take a play off.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't fault him one bit for that. That right there, those two, because Henry had about a 6-yard start and Spillane about a 4-yard start. And the amount of force that hit, and they just stood each other up.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could just see Spillane's shoulders give, and I was just like, "Oh, that had to hurt. Oh my God."
Yeah, that did not feel good. Yeah.
and that's what Derrick Henry can do to people. He can punish them to a point where he makes them think twice about making that
doing
hit.
That again. Right.
And I don't think we have another running back in the NFL or a team in the NFL that runs the ball as hard as Tennessee does.
No, yeah, I agree.
And this isn't taking a shot at Seattle whatsoever, but when the first half ended and Derrick Henry had, 30-something yards on 11 carries, whatever it was, I was sitting there looking at it going, they're going to continue to run the rock. And,
that's coming, right, yeah.
And he's just going to continue to abuse that defense, and eventually it's going to pop. And then sure enough, it did, and then he ends up busting, a 67-yard touchdown or a 61-yard touchdown, whatever it was. And then he just continued to bash, and I'm just like, oh, my God. And all of a sudden he's looking at, north of 150 yards, and I'm like, he's not stopping. What the hell?
Yeah.
And then it kept. And they ran the ball 13 times in the first half, and Derrick Henry finished with 35 carries. And I'm sitting here going, what the crap? And then I'm thinking, when I saw 35 carries, I'm like, well, Tannehill must have only thrown the ball like 20 times. Tannehill threw the ball 41 times.
Yeah.
He dropped back 44 times because he got sacked 3 times as well. So he had 44 dropbacks, and Derrick Henry ran the ball 35 freaking times.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy on Twitter about this, a local guy, and his name is Isaiah. And he had mentioned, he's like, I wish Seattle wouldn't abandon the run like that. And I'm like, well, if Seattle decided to not abandon the run like that, they wouldn't have any running backs left on the roster, because they don't have any running backs that can handle bell cow mode like that.
That type of and Derrick is just different. Actually, who, it's not quite the same, but who kind of comes to mind in terms of similar running style is Josh Jacobs. I feel like that maybe is the closest, but Derrick is just huge. That's the big difference between, Henry's 6'2" or something like that, and just a massive human. So, but I think John Gruden's trying to have the same idea over there, although he's going to run Joshua Jacobs into the ground. But that same power run, it's that old school football, style mentality that he has. But Henry's a monster. It's insane to watch him that big and move that fast and that strong. So
Henry reminds me of a more balanced and more leg power Brandon Jacobs.
Oh yeah, hey, that's a great comparison. Yeah,
Brandon Jacobs and I thought Brandon Jacobs was an absolute badass running the ball for the Giants, and I thought that the Giants didn't do him justice. They could have utilized him so much better, and he could have been a perennial all-star and just or an All-Pro and just been. I mean, I would have loved to have had a running back like that on the Steelers, because my God.
Yeah, he was a monster. He was a monster. Do you remember the? You might not remember, but that was like one of his famous plays when he and Landry met up the middle. Remember that, but it was similar to what you're talking about with Spillane and Henry, where they Landry is from the safety position, flies down into the gap, and they meet. It was just like, like just because Landry was a big old. I think he got in trouble for peds a bunch of times, but he was huge.
Yeah,
Landry was jacked, big old safety from Washington. So that's what it reminded me of, anyways.
LaRon Landry. Well, because there was there was 2 or 3 Landry boys that played in the NFL. But LaRon was big.
He was a big dude. Yeah, he got jacked a couple times. I mean, he got nicked a couple times for peds. I'm pretty sure he was hardcore to that because his arms were like, bigger than my head. Bro, it's hard to get there.
He was a monster. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen a Sean Taylor tackle Derrick Henry.
Right.
Hey, that would have been cool. Yeah. If I could have a dream matchup of a secondary player take on Derrick Henry, one of the most powerful runners we've ever seen in NFL history, and I don't think anybody can dispute that. I would love to see Sean Taylor hold up against Derrick Henry. Have them meet. Taylor come up from the secondary, and because Taylor was no small guy either.
No. Yeah.
Now, he wasn't LaRon Landry big. No. But he was, he was still, 6'1", 6 foot?
Yeah.
And
he had jacked. More athleticism, I think, than Landry ever did, really. LaRon was just a big guy. Yeah.
And Taylor could hit.
Taylor was athletic. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember watching him at the U. I actually really liked. I was a big Miami Hurricanes fan when I was younger. Before I went to North Dakota State, that was my first college that I really ever started watching. And,
right.
90s the U. Everybody loved the U. Ray Lewis and the boys. The Rock was going there at the time. Warren Sapp.
Exciting.
Those guys were just awesome. The swag that the U had back then. But put Sean Taylor. You put Sean Taylor lined up across from Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
that would be amazing. I'm gonna get some of the comments here real quick. Well, David Miller's saying, unfortunately, Tampa Bay's about to get smashed by the Rams.
Yeah, that's going to be – so I'm going to the game. So I'm super excited. I'm going to the game. It's going to be fun. If we play like we did in week 1 and week 2, we'll lose. I'll be honest with you. I think if we play the way that we did in week 1, week 2, we'll lose. Because I think staff is really good. That offense is really good. And the defense was just not there for the first 2 weeks for me. I mean, Atlanta's offense is good, but 25 points is just – I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it going well, especially because that's a big travel too. I mean, for the Bucs, the 3-hour time difference. It's kind of a, it's a long trip to come over to California. But we beat them in 2019 at the Coliseum, so I'm excited to be back. And I can't wait for Sunday, man. I'm stoked. I'm like trying to wish this work week away so that Sunday comes and we go to the game. So yeah.
Well, and the negative side to what we were just talking about. The recipe to beating Tampa Bay right now is exactly what Stafford's offense can run. I mean, that's Cooper Kupp could feast.
Kupp and I mean they have a good wide receiver crew and they have a good quarterback. And then their defense, if Aaron Donald, he can disrupt. He can slow it because really, like I was saying, you just got to slow down the Bucs. You're not going to stop them, but you got to slow them down. They can't drop 48 on you. You know what I mean? They can't. What is it, 9 straight games now with 30-plus points for the most in NFL history. I mean, not that they have to hold us under 30, but if they keep us at or around 30, it's going to be a competitive game, especially if our defense plays the way it has been, because they'll be able to score if they use the right formula. So I'm a little nervous about it, but 2-1, I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind a nice early season loss, teaching point.
Well, that and I brought this up with the loss that the Steelers had against Vegas. You look at last year with the Steelers going 11-0 to start the season, and it was almost like losing the first game was kind of like getting the monkey off the back. And normally it's getting your first win gets the monkey off your back, or beating a divisional opponent, or beating somebody that you're 0 for in the last however many games.
Yeah.
But when you get that first loss, especially when you're a team who is a contender or a defending champ, or just typically a very well-to-do team and has a good record year in and year out and is competitive. When you are looking at 10 plus wins and no losses, it gets to a point where it's almost sickening. Listening to all the people, they're gonna lose, they have to lose, blah blah blah, and to be quite honest, I don't give a crap about a team going undefeated. I'd almost rather get that loss out of the way early, learn from it, and move forward.
Yeah, and I think the Rams are a team that we'll see again. If everything lines up, they'll be there at the very end too. I mean, you look at the NFC, you got the Rams, Cardinals look fantastic right now. And obviously the Bucs look good. So there's some teams, but I think the Rams are up at the top there of the NFC in terms of some of the better teams. So I think we'll see them again, and we'll see, because you got the Rams and then the Seahawks and then the Cardinals, right? So I mean that's kind of a tough division. We'll see who comes out of there, but I think the Rams will be there at the end of the season, so we'll see them again. I wouldn't mind a loss. Of course, I'm going to the game. I don't want to lose, but I wouldn't mind a loss in terms of, from a football standpoint, from the standpoint of being able to teach them how to correct, things for the secondary, how to stop that offense moving forward. It would be okay. It would be okay with me. And then, like you said, I feel like with every win, if you continue to win, the pressure mounts, right? The pressure mounts, like, oh man, they're 9-0 now. If they don't win the Super Bowl, they're 15-0 now. If they don't win the Super Bowl, right? And so it becomes this thing where it's like, no, man, I feel like, we're just trying to win the Super Bowl. Of course, undefeated, is cool, but the Bucs are just trying to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking at teams in the NFC West, I mean, you literally have any one of those four teams could end up, winning the division. I mean, now, I will say that right now, to me, it looks like the Niners are probably the most lacking, just from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah.
Their defenses looked fairly solid, but their offense right now, this past weekend, not talking about week one, but this past weekend, Jimmy just kind of looked a little out of sorts. He was inaccurate. He was making some bad throws. I don't think he had any turnovers. Did he throw an interception this past weekend?
I am not sure, but I'm not sure.
I don't think he did, but he just, like I said, the accuracy wasn't there. He sailed a few passes. He had some wobbly throws, missed some targets, wide open guys.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even say. I mean, it was a close game. It was 17-11, and in all honesty, it wasn't the Eagles that really kept him in that game. To me, it was the inefficiency of the offense.
Yeah,
and I would almost more say it was the inefficiency of Jimmy Garoppolo than anything else, because third and long, he was missing those passes for first downs, and to me that was what kept the game close.
I agree. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I don't necessarily want to say, hey, throw in Trey Lance right now, because I'm kind of digging Trey Lance getting some time to acclimate and learn and all this
figure
kind of
life
stuff.
out. Yeah,
and so I don't necessarily want to say, hey, throw him to the Wolves, but I would like to see Jimmy clean that up a little bit. And as I've said from the moment they traded up to draft a quarterback, let Jimmy build up some trade value, and then move him after the season, or move him, or move him midway through the season, even, because look at how many injuries we had yesterday.
Yep. Tua, Carson.
Baker even got hurt. Tyrod Taylor got hurt. I mean, there was way too many quarterbacks that got hurt, and Baker hurt his non-throwing shoulder. Now, is that going to affect him when he's taking hits? Because, typically when he gets sacked, he'll turn his body and he puts his non-dominant shoulder towards him, which is a smart quarterback play to do. But if he gets drilled on his throwing side and his non-throwing shoulder gets driven into the ground, that's coming out again. He flat out said it popped out.
Yeah.
And I've had shoulder issues. I mean, that's what screwed everything up for me sports-wise when I was younger.
Yeah.
was my throwing shoulder. Actually, was what, and that's not easy to fix if it depending on the severity of it.
Right.
But I mean, that's ugly, and so
A little sketchy.
Yeah, so now you're talking about that, and Andy Dalton went down. Now, granted, yes, they got Justin Fields, but then we're talking about Joe Burrow's inefficiency. I mean, he threw 3 interceptions in a matter of 30 minutes of real time. I mean, he had 3 straight drives of interceptions. You had Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions. I think we probably saw more interceptions thrown this last weekend than any weekend in football that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, there was a lot of picks. There was a lot of picks thrown. It definitely was that way. And to your point, I mean, yeah, you let Jimmy build his trade value, and then maybe you move him before the trade deadline or at the end of the year. But the Niners, as much as we talk about that division being tough, just to go back to them real quick, they're not in a horrible position, and it's not a horrible team.
No,
it's just that division is really good. That's the tough part for them is the weakest of the 4 is them, and they're not that weak, but they're definitely weaker than Russell Wilson and Seattle, than Kyler right now, who is looking phenomenal. And then, of course, then Staff and McVay, which is a match made in heaven, I think, for McVay. And I really, really, really like Sean McVay, so I was super happy that he got Stafford. But, so it's a bit of a tough situation. But those teams are going to beat up on each other all year, and then we'll see who makes it out. That's kind of the question.
Well, and in reality, that's a division where we could literally see all 4 teams split the series against everybody else and end up with 3 losses in the division, 1 loss outside of the division, and all 4 teams end up with a 4-loss schedule. Yeah. I mean, I don't see any reason why that's not possible.
Wouldn't be wild, no.
Yeah, and now granted, yes, Seattle lost to Tennessee this weekend, so that's their out of division loss. And I can actually even see where we could have a Arizona, Rams, and Niners all end up with only 3 losses on the season, and that's it. That's within their own division. I mean, it's entirely possible. Now, I'm not saying that I believe San Francisco is going to go run the table on the rest of the NFL, but I could definitely see the Rams do it. I could definitely see Arizona do it with how Arizona's been playing. Now, granted, yes, do they have to clean up some things on offense with some turnovers? Absolutely. Do they need to polish some stuff up on defense by allowing Minnesota to put up 33 points against them when Minnesota was a dumpster fire the week before? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But they have a potent offense, and they have a defense that can be very stingy, but is susceptible to big plays, much like the Bucs.
Yeah, and and that's the thing with the Cardinals defense is they make plays and then sometimes they miss them, right? So it's either they get beat by a 90-yard bomb or they get a pick 6. You know what I mean? Like,
Boomer
I mean,
bust.
the first week Chandler Jones had 5 sacks in the first week. You know what I mean? So it's like they can make plays. The opportunity and ability is there. They got some kids that can play in Arizona. So that's a scary team. I'm still more intimidated by the Rams. I'm still more. I think that's the best team in that division. But yeah, those are none of those teams are going to be fun to play in the playoffs. If it comes down to that for everybody, it'll be all tough games. But yeah, I think home field advantage is going to be a big one too. Seattle's home is a nice one, and can you imagine a Seattle playoff home game against Arizona, or the Rams? That would just be jumping. So I think that would be play a big part for those teams specifically. Having a home game against a division rival would be insane.
Well, especially, let's say a Seattle gets home field advantage in the first round and Tampa has to travel.
Yeah, that's
Seattle in January could be 20 degrees on the field, and in Tampa it's 70. And so, that right there, that's a big home field advantage. When you want to talk about home field advantage, when you have to go play in outdoor cold climates, because
an old guy in cold climates.
and because places like Seattle, not a dome. Pittsburgh, not a dome. And when you have to travel to those places and you're taking guys who are from warmer climates, You know, like anytime the San Diego Chargers back in the day had to travel north, or the Raiders had to travel north, or you know, when Arizona has to travel north in the winter, when Dallas has to travel north in the winter. That's why Green Bay, people hate going to Green Bay in the wintertime. You know, when you got to go to Green Bay in January and it's 0 degrees. I remember when Seattle played Minnesota a few years back, and they played at the open stadium after the Metrodome had its implosion, and they played, it was 0, or it was -2, I think, on the field, they even said. And it's like, now granted, that's Seattle traveling there, which, yes, Seattle's colder, but not that cold. You know? And it's like the Minnesota people were just kind of like, it's wintertime. You know, you know, when you're talking about Minnesota playing Green Bay, when you're talking about Chicago playing Green Bay, you know, that kind of stuff, not as big of a deal as Dallas traveling to Green Bay, or Tampa going to Green Bay. Jacksonville traveling to Seattle in the winter would be like, screw that. You'd see Trevor Lawrence would step out on the field and be like, deuces, I'm out. See you guys. You can have fun with this one. Urban, out.
Go to USC. Urban, go to USC. You're done.
But no,
definitely.
This season is already, number one, it's already shaping up way differently than I had anticipated. You know, I mentioned this, you know, when we're talking about the leaders in fantasy football, for example, right now, of the top 10 right now wide receivers, like only three of the wide receivers that are in the top 10 were anticipated being top 10 guys.
To be, I seen that wide receiver list today, and I was just like, I mean, those guys are all good. It's not like, oh, they're bad receivers that are at the top. They're just not expected guys to be at the top. It's like, wow, that guy, you know, Tyler Lockett, for example, not that he's not good. He's amazing. But did we expect him to be third in the NFL in receiving? I mean, I don't think we did. You know what I mean? So, there's quite a few.
Or you're looking down the list expecting to see Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins and Julio Jones, which Julio, hasn't been that guy. Calvin Ridley was somebody we expected to see on the list. Devontae Adams was somebody we expected to see on the list. You know, stuff like that. And it's like, now granted, yes, we are in week 2.
Yeah, so it's early. Yeah.
We've had one bad game can screw your first 2-3 weeks of overall rankings. You know, and we look at, for example, the running back position. Derrick Henry's back at number 1 after an atrocious week 1.
Right.
But then followed it up with a 180-yard week, you know, in week 2. And
all is right in the world.
Exactly. And all of a sudden, because Derrick Henry put up 8 fantasy points in week 1. And you're sitting here going, God, this guy's a bust. Why did I take him in the first round? And then he puts up 51 points in week 2, and you're like, that's why I took him in the first round. There we go.
And it's like, Aaron Jones, too. Aaron Jones had like 2 points in week 1, and then, he didn't get 100 rushing yards, but 4 total touchdowns.
40 fantasy points, you know, in a PPR league. And it's like, and looking at stuff like that, it's like, holy crap. And it's funny because I actually just broke that down before you came on. Derrick Henry is 12 points after an abysmal week 1. He is 12 fantasy points ahead of the number 2 spot now.
There you go.
And it's like, that is ridiculous. And I think the number 2 right now is Christian McCaffrey, and Aaron Jones is like 1 point behind him. And Alvin Kamara had a bad week 2. You know, Alvin Kamara was solid in week 1, but then has a bad week 2. Now, if he comes back in week 3, you know, but we're talking about Patriots defense. So New Orleans, New England, and now it's like, okay, well, Jameis Winston, which, by the way, I said we were going to talk about. You like that segue, by the way? You know, I like how I do that. Smooth operator right here. Alvin Kamara now has to go to New England, who's the second best defense in the NFL right now.
Right. Yeah.
But again, we're only 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, there'll be some changes by the end of the year for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean I can't see Alvin Kamara being outside of the top 5 for running backs. I just don't see it happening. Even if Jameis Winston's having a bad game or multiple bad games in a row, there's no way
Kamara should get his touches.
And not just touches, but receptions. You know, he's going to get the checkdowns. He's going to get the bubble screens. He's going to get all the, you know, he's going to get all this stuff that I call him the scrappy plays, and because that's what he is. He's him and Christian McCaffrey. You know, I said this in my pre-fantasy football rankings. you literally could take either one of them and put them 1-2. It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
They are literally the same type of running back, just wearing different jerseys and on different with different quarterbacks. And so okay. Well, so let's talk about this. Since you're very familiar with Jameis Winston for obvious reasons, what do you expect to see out of the New Orleans offense facing the Bill Belichick defense?
I don't know, man. Like, I wish I could tell you, but that's literally what life is like with Jameis Winston. Because you'd be like, yeah, like, I think I remember, certain Buck teams are like, yeah, we're playing such and such team. They got a really good defense. I'm stressed about it. Jameis comes out, throws 5 touchdowns. You're like, oh, yeah, I mean, this is franchise quarterback. We're good. This is the guy. And then the next week you have a game like he did. And, I mean, that pick that he threw against Carolina, who I also want to mention Sam Darnold real quick before I get off. I do have to get going here. But before I get off, I want to mention Sam Darnold. It's only been 2 weeks. But, man, I told you preseason I really was liking the guy. And so far, so good. Just quick side note. But, yeah, for Jameis, I feel like it's just you don't know what you're getting with him. And that's the thing. It doesn't – like, his opponents don't matter. He might play defenses that are phenomenal and just completely chop them up, and then play defenses that are atrocious and throw 7 picks. Like, that's just – and I don't – it's the most – frustrate as a Bucs fan going through it for 5 years. It was the most frustrating thing ever because there were 4 weeks in a row where you believe in the kid. Like, he's a good kid, says all the right things, after his nonsense from Florida State and all that kind of crazy stuff. He settled into his role as a leader. People liked him, a locker room guy, and then just, 4 picks. And and then half of them are like, I can't believe you just did, like, I cannot believe you just threw like, and then, everybody made jokes about the LASIK surgery, right? He got LASIK surgery and everybody's like, oh yeah, now he's going to be able to see, because half of his picks were like, bro, are you blind? How did you throw it to that guy? That's not the right jersey. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so I don't know. I get fired up when I talk about Jameis because I like the kid a lot, but I'm so glad he's not a Buck. And I'm honestly super stoked he's a Saint. Because that's fun. That's going to be fun for me to watch all year. Because he'll do this a couple more times. This is just what he does. And like I said, that pick against Carolina where he spins out and then off his back leg just like heaves it up, and you're like, why? Like, take the sack, throw it away. Just don't do that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's what you get with him. So it's fun. It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster of emotions more than anything. So I hope Saints fans are enjoying that because I'm going to enjoy watching someone else go through that all season.
Well, and I'll say this: it's still a better result than what they would have had with Taysom Hill at quarterback. Cause
oh my gosh, yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny because people want to talk about Lamar Jackson and calling him a running back and all this kind of stuff. I'm sorry, but Taysom Hill's more of a running back than Lamar Jackson.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Taysom Hill's a Tim Tebow.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he reminds me of from day one was Tim Tebow. He's a gadget player. He's not a guy that's going to be in an offense that he's going to stand back and throw passes. He's not going to throw 30 plus passes a game, and if he is, he's probably throwing 5 interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's Tim Tebow.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, and to Sean Payton's credit, which we talked about it before, I told you that I thought maybe his pride would get in the way because Sean Payton's he's just such a guy that I know everything, right? And so I thought for a second, we talked about it, that maybe he would start Taysom just because he wanted to be right. Not because Jameis wasn't good, but just because he wanted to be right about Taysom Hill. But he didn't. He decided to start Jameis, and that's definitely the right call because no matter what anybody says about Jameis, he has talent. And there are, I'll take Jameis over, the guy that can throw, 180 yards and 1 touchdown a game. At least Jameis gives you some excitement. He gives you a chance to put up 35 every game. And, you might throw 4 picks, but you might be able to put up 35 too, and I think that for a lot of franchises, there's only 32 guys in the world that are able to start at quarterback here. There's not a plethora of guys that you can just pick from, to kind of put in. So Jameis has some talent, and I think he's fun to watch. But, Jameis is Jameis, and he'll always just be Jameis, which is just, people make jokes, but the 30 for 30 on him about his 30 touchdown, 30 pick season is going to be pretty funny.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I'm looking forward to that one. Speaking of 30 for 30, did you see the James Harrison, what do they call it, a player's life or whatever documentary?
Football Life? No, I didn't.
That's coming out. Yeah. It's coming out I think it's this next week or the week after.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just like, I saw that coming out. I was like, oh my God, I have to watch that. I'm excited for that one. I love James Harrison.
He was fun to watch, man.
Yeah, because it's talking about how people feared him and whatnot, and he's just like, one of the comments that he made in the preview was like, I learned to not care if people are afraid of me. I'm just gonna be me.
Nice.
I'm like,
I love it.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
All right, before I let you go, you got time real quick to do a really quick rundown. Pick your team games for this week.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's start off, and we're going to do rapid fire here real quick. We're going to start with the Thursday night game, Panthers at Texans.
Panthers.
All right, moving on to the Sunday games, Colts at Titans.
Titans.
Falcons at Giants. 2 winless teams.
Ooh, that one's tough. I think the Giants are a little better than they've shown, but I think I have to go Falcons.
In one of the better matchups of the morning games, Chargers at Chiefs.
Yeah, Chiefs. That's a tough loss, but I think Chiefs. Tough loss for the Chargers.
Bengals at Steelers.
I got Cincy. Like that, but I got Cincy.
You're taking Cincy.
I'm taking Cincy.
You cut out there. I just want to make sure that you actually are taking Cincy.
I'm taking Cincy. Yes, sir.
Even after Joe Burrow's 3 interceptions in one quarter?
I'm taking them. We're riding with them.
Okay. Bears at Browns. Justin Fields' first start.
I think the Browns.
Ravens at Lions.
Ravens.
Saints at Patriots.
That's another tough one. Saints.
Going Saints.
Yeah.
Cards at Jaguars.
Cards.
They probably could have auto-filled that one for you.
Yeah.
The Washington football team at Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Moving on to the afternoon games. Jets at Broncos.
Man, I hope the Broncos. The Jets, they got problems.
Yeah, a little bit. Wilson's seeing ghosts like Sam Darnold was.
Yeah, a ghost again.
a Tua-less Dolphins at the Raiders.
Doesn't that just feel like the type of game the Raiders lose? I don't know how to explain it, but doesn't it just feel it, right? Like it just feels like that's the game. I'm gonna go with the Raiders though. I'm gonna give. I like Derek Carr. I'm gonna put some confidence in that team this year. I'll go Raiders.
Well, and especially since it's at the Roomba, so I mean, you kind of have to give it to the Raiders.
At the Roomba.
So
yeah.
Seahawks at Vikings. This one's tasty.
Seahawks.
I
like Seahawks.
Traveling to Minnesota. Seahawks.
Man, if they lose that game, then I think that's a huge talking point. If they lose that game, they should beat the Vikes. I think the Vikings are a mess.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that one. Vikings are a mess, and for the Seahawks to go 2 losses in a row, I don't see that.
Yeah, exactly. After losing a heartbreaker, I can't see that.
All right, the big one. Throw your bias out the window for this, because I will know if you are biasly telling me this. Bucks at Rams.
I think I'm gonna pick the Bucks. I think that the first 2 weeks on defense were sloppy enough to where they really, really correct it, and they're able to stop the a little bit more. I don't think the Bucks will go undefeated, but I don't know if this is the game they lose. I would hope that they're prepared enough to travel, and they know I'm going, obviously, so that's a obviously motivating factor for them. So that they know I'll be in attendance.
All right, take those Bucks colored glasses off. Now give me your real opinion.
I still think the Bucks, man. I think we got it. I'll probably regret it. I wonder what the spread is in Vegas. I'd be curious to know what the line is. Do you have it by any chance?
I don't off the top of my head, no.
I'm curious. I'm curious what Vegas thinks. Just let's see. Right now, the score app. Oh my goodness, it's a 1-point spread. We're a 1-point favorite.
Oof.
Yeah. So Vegas is basically almost pick 'em.
Yep.
So, yeah. I feel better about it. Not having known the spread, I feel better about my pick being the Bucs then. I just didn't want to see us like 9-point favorite. I mean, I knew it was going to be 9, but some, 4 or 5-point favorites would have been interesting. But yeah.
Packers, Niners.
Packers.
At San Francisco.
The Packers looked crazy weird on Monday night too. No, I still.
But remember, that was against Detroit.
Yeah, that division, division rival, kind of anything can happen kind of thing. But, yeah, just super, like early, right away, he seems super frustrated about everything. But, yeah, I'll still take the Packers just because I think they're significantly more talented.
I think they could be. The game to me didn't really open up until the rain started to come down. And then right. Detroit just seemed lost. It was almost like they couldn't see in the rain.
Yeah, they're like, what is that? Stop.
And then we've got the Monday night game, Eagles at Cowboys.
I think, honestly, that game, maybe not one of the most interesting games, but one of the more interesting games. Division rival games are always fun. You got Dak against Hurts, a little bit exciting. Monday Night Football. I think that's a fun game, but I think I'm going to take Dallas there. I think Dallas is good, man. I think Dallas is a pretty good team.
I don't think they're bad, and I'm high on Micah Parsons, and Micah Parsons moving to edge. He had a lot of quarterback hits on the edge position, and if Micah Parsons continues to play edge, it opens the door for Jabril Cox, my boy from North Dakota State, playing in the middle, and I'm all for that. Yeah, and I would love to see that happen more. So you're going Dallas over the Eagles, all right?
Yeah, I'll take Dallas. I want to hear about these on Monday, man. I'm curious how we'll have to tag me in a tweet or something.
Well, I will. When I do my video editing, I'll go back through and I'll write it all down so I have it all. Because now it's documented video evidence. You can't lie now.
Now, just for video evidence sake, now every pick that I got wrong, I meant the opposite one. just play this clip at the end. That way they know, like, oh yeah, he meant the other one.
Well, so when the Rams beat the Bucs, you're gonna be like, I told you guys the Rams were gonna win that game, and I'll be like, cry. Let's go to the video evidence.
The survey says.
I'm gonna clip this out in little like 10-second snips and put it all over Twitter. Like, this is how wrong Mark was. It can't be any worse than my week 1 picks. I was like 4 for 16. It was ugly. It was ugly.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. Week 1 can be a crapshoot, and I was just I just went the wrong way on a bunch of it, and I was like, holy crap, okay. And then this past weekend, I was like 12 for 16, so.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
No,
correction.
Getting better. My goal is to stay in that 13 to 16 range. Obviously, a perfect 16 is what we all strive for. But I'll be making my picks probably on Saturday. I usually don't include the Thursday night game unless I get to it early. So, but we'll see.
For sure.
So, I gotta let you go, man, because you were way over your time.
No worries, man.
I know you got stuff to do, so I'm going to let you get out of here, and then I'm going to finish up the show so I can kick these guys out and let them get back to their normal lives, because I take up too much of their time on the weekly basis. Anyways, so
hey, thanks for having me on, Ryan. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for coming, Mark. I appreciate it. We'll have you on here hopefully again soon with some new software. And we won't have to screw around with it like we did 5 minutes before we went live. So
no worries, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Make sure you guys follow Marc Magaña on social media at BucsFan02. And you can also catch his podcast replays because they're not currently creating any more Dropping Dimes podcast on all your favorite platforms. So give him a follow at BucsFan02. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Marc Magaña.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, brother. Take it easy.
See ya. Whew. All right. Love having Mark on. Good guy. Like I said, once I can get my new software, because I learned some things during my time in Vegas, talking to and listening to some other breakers and some software modifications and some different software to use. And I made this comment earlier that I'm either behind the times or I'm so far ahead of everybody that it's not even funny. And I kind of think it's the first part. I'm behind everybody because I'm still using this software, and I have a feeling that everybody else is using a much better software. So hopefully I can get that squared away and upgrade my software and be able to run some of this stuff a lot better than what I'm currently dealing with. Okay, give me just a few seconds here. I gotta move this out of the way, and then we do have a box to rip tonight. I'm going to grab my second camera, since everything's all a mess from being gone. And I ran through earlier what we have for breaks this week. So make sure you guys get into the breaks, because this week is actually going to be a big week for breaks. So on the website, we've got Abel's asking, what are you running? I'm looking at getting StreamYard. Right now, I use XSplit. That's my encoding software. And I've been having issues with it. It's taking too much of my computer usage. So for tomorrow night, break night, we have a loaded lineup. We have 2 breaks of Optic basketball hobby boxes. They're 1-box breaks, random teams. They're both on the website, and those spots are moving. We also have Bowman Chrome baseball, 3-box break, random team. That's loaded on the website right now as well. That's almost half full. And then I had to do football, and I went with a 2019 Rookies and Stars football 2 hobby box random team break. So we're chasing Kyler Murray's with that. And then I ended up doing a PYT. I wanted to go back to a PYT football, and I put in certified football 2 hobby boxes plus a TriStar Platinum mini helmet. Platinum meaning there's a Tom Brady potential in this, and not in a Patriots mini helmet. It is a Buccaneers mini helmet. It is not collegiate. I don't believe that they put a Michigan one in this one, but the picture shows Tampa Bay on this one. So we're going to have 5 breaks. If Bowman Chrome fills before we go live, I might put another one up, at least a 1-boxer of some sort in there as well. I have plenty of boxes. I can do some personals of Bowman Chrome as well. We got a lot to break through tomorrow, so I mean, it's going to be a fun night. And then, also, just to make sure everybody's aware, I picked up some more, right before I went to Vegas, I picked up some more of those Apache cases. If you guys remember, I did the giveaway since the National when I got those Apache cases from one of the vendors in a repack, buyback, whatever you want to call it. And I did a loaded Apache case giveaway on 2 separate nights. So I found at Harbor Freight Tools, they sell the Apache cases. So I found the similar ones to what I gave away before. And I put together another one that's ready to go. So this one's jam-packed again. So now, between this and everything inside of it, it's at least $200 in here. It could be upwards of $400. It could be more. But it's at least $200 in value guaranteed between the case and what's inside. Everybody that's in a break tomorrow night, every spot you have is an entry into this giveaway. So if you have 1 spot in the breaks tomorrow night, you have 1 spot in the entry. If you have 50 spots in tomorrow night's breaks, you have 50 spots into the giveaway. So just so everybody knows, that's going to be a big giveaway. All right, I'm going to change this over real quick. I have to adjust some things because I am on a different setup than break night normally. All right, give me 1 second here to get this changed over. We're going to do that. That. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, yes. Yes, David. Yes. That's what it is. That, my friends, is Topps Fire Baseball. So we are going to rip a blaster of Topps Fire Baseball. Where'd my knife go? There it is. So this is going to be our box break for the night. And then we'll give away a couple cards out of this tonight. So let's do this. 2021 Topps Fire Baseball Blaster. It is a fan favorite for sure. And it is probably one of the most hit or miss products that Topps comes out with. You can either get an absolutely stellar box or you can get an absolute horse poo box. So we're going to start off. Here are your base cards for Topps Fire this year. Randy Arozarena, KB Chris Bryant. We get a red foil, numbered? Nope, of Pavin Smith, rookie. Gleyber Torres, Marchand, rookie. Bryce Harper, and our gold is Josh Donaldson. Showtime, Ohtani, J.P. Crawford, Austin Hayes, Flamethrowers, gold of Tyler Glasnow, Braxton Berrios, Jose Berrios, my bad, Letty Tavares, rookie, and Ryan Jeffers, gold rookie. Turner, Joe Adele, base rookie. Perez, Salvi, Garcia, rookie. Harrison, rookie. Ruiz, rookie. Nelly Cruz, big stick. Not big stick, sorry. Boomstick Nelly. Raffy is big stick. Jake Cronenworth, rookie. Kybert Ruiz, rookie ignition gold. Trevor Bauer. Alec Boom, rookie. Merrifield and Sam Huff, gold rookie. Andres Jimenez, rookie. Stroman, Patino, rookie. Brady Singer, rookie, and that is a parallel foil red. Max Kepler and Christian Pache, rookie. 2 packs left. Let's hope for an auto. Dane Dunning, rookie. Clint Frazier. Gold. Yu Darvish, Smoke and Mirror, Contreras rookie. Voit. Stevenson rookie. And a gold Noah Syndergaard. Thor. Last pack. Unfortunately, I could not get any hobby boxes. I missed out on the hobby boxes. Kind of bummed. I wanted one of those. Rasmussen rookie. Realmuto. We get a Kyle Lewis orange out of $2.99. Blake Snell. Christian Javier rookie. And a Reese Hoskins. I feel like it. I feel like it. Let's do it. Bonus box. We're going to bonus box. Carlos Correa. Ichiro. Davidson rookie. Javier Baez. Fired up. Gold. Joey Bart. Aiken rookie. And a Marcus Stroman. Gold. Shane the Justin Bieber. Trevor Larnach rookie. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. We get an auto of Clark Schmidt rookie out of 75. We get an auto. Boom. Will Blackman. Lynch rookie. Bundy. And a gold Tanner Hoke rookie. All right, so we get one auto in 2 blasters. I'll take that. Bo Bichette. Lubob. Luis Robert. That felt thick. Max Scherzer. Matt Greinke. Smoke and Mirrors. Sorry, not Matt. Zach Greinke. My bad. Abreu. And Schwarbs. The Schwarbs. May the Schwarbs be with you. Austin Meadows. Rafael Big Stick Devers. Max Scherzer red foil. Yastrzemski. Verdugo. Glasnow. Andres Jimenez gold rookie. Pujols. Yu Darvish. Ozzy Albies. Gold of Tyler Stevenson. Rookie ignition. Austin Nola. Aaron Nola, sorry. And then Mike Trout. Austin was the former Mariner. Aaron is his brother. Cody B. Garrett Crochet, rookie. Ramon Laureano. Hyung Sun Kim, rookie. Green, out of 199. Syndergaard. Jeffers, rookie. Gold foil, Byron Buxton. Last pack. Mission accomplished. We got the auto. Aguilar. Nick Madrigal, rookie. Fernando Tatis. We have Liftoff gold foil. Tariq Skubal rookie. Marte, Starling Marte, and Sixto Sanchez. Sorry, Jesus Sanchez. Sixto's the pitcher. Jesus Sanchez rookie. Not a horrible 2 blasters, that's for sure. I need to get this headset off so I can move around more freely. Okay, we're going to give away 2 cards. I needed that auto because I wanted to give away the auto. Clark Schmidt, rookie auto out of 75. And Kyle Lewis, orange foil out of 299. Those are going to be the 2 cards that we give away tonight. Mariners up 4-1. Heck yeah. Those are going to be the 2 cards we give away tonight. Taylor is already... He is ready for this giveaway. He is fired up. He is fired up. Alright, well, let's get over and do our dice roller real quick. This is how many times we're going to randomize the list. 4. We're going to randomize the list 4 times. All right. Everybody get your me's on the board. Taylor's already calling it out. All right, Taylor, David, Shane, and Dave Fitch. Anybody else, if you'd like to win, would like a shot at winning the Clark Schmidt or the Kyle Lewis, just type me in chat, just like you see the other guys doing, and you'll be entered to win. Give you guys another minute here before Abel is in. My keyboard does not like me tonight. Come on. It does not like me one bit. Jeez. Alright, Abel's in. Anybody else? Just type me in the chat if you'd like to be in for the drawing. If not, we're going to get rolling with the drawing. I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds. Give it about another 30 seconds for anybody that wants to get entered. If you'd like to get entered into the drawing for the Clark Schmidt or the Kyle Lewis, just type me in chat. All right, we're going to get going then. We already did the dice roller. It came up as a 4, so we're going to randomize the list 4 times. Here's our 5 names randomizing. Good luck, everybody. 1, 2, 3, and lucky number 4. The Daves win. Dave Fitch and David Miller. Dave Fitch wins the Clark Schmidt. David Miller wins the Kyle Lewis. Congratulations, gentlemen. Take that photo because that was not good enough. Too fuzzy. Come on. There we go. Much better. All right. Congratulations to our winners. Okay, so after a week off, and we are now in full swing of football season, there's going to be some updates, some potential changes happening over the next few weeks. I want to make sure that you guys are aware. Number one, I'm going to be adding a bunch more inventory on the website on single cards, so make sure you guys are checking that out in the card shop. Number 2, we're going to have a lot more to talk about on Sports Stuff Hub Live every Tuesday. But I'm also going to be working on articles that are going to be in the articles tab on the website. But then also going to be uploading more video blogs. So some vlogs are going to be hitting the hitting the YouTube channel with a little more frequency. So be watching for that. Also, the podcast that we're trying to get set up, potentially going to get launched this season as well. Working on some things right now, collabing with Dean and potentially Mr. Magaña and a few other people. So we'll hopefully have the podcast launched before the mid-season. It is 8 o'clock on the nose right now, so I'm going to get you guys out of here. Hey, I want to thank all you guys for joining tonight. It was a lot of fun, and again, I want a special thanks for Marc Magaña joining me tonight. It's always fun having him on. And I look forward to next week, potentially new software next week, maybe. If not, going to have the same software, and things will be going same as they were tonight. All right, well, I'm going to let you guys get out of here, and I'm going to go eat dinner. And so I hope you guys have a good week, and stay safe out there. Good night, everybody.